Hi, Kendall, for our first discussion. My heritage is a bunch of different things, so I'm kind of like the melting pot of our family. On my dad's side, he's German, as far as we know. That's it. On my mom's side, she's Cherokee Indian, um, Polish, and Scottish. My family's pretty private on that side, so my grandparents never really talked about where exactly we came from. One of my younger cousins actually got really interested in it and wanted to find out more, so she actually went on Ancestry.com and looked it up and found out exactly where we did come from, at least on my mom's side. Um, what does ethnicity, race have to do with our culture? In the lectures about race and culture, ethnicity is described as social traits and cultural norms and values. Race is something that society has put onto people, basically basing them off of physical traits. Um, since my heritage is German, Cherokee Indian, Polish, and Scottish, that would be my heritage, but my race would be white. If you can't tell with blonde hair and blue eyes, that's what society would look at me as. Um, my culture, the way that I grew up, was in a really small town. I grew up in Ohio, so my background is, um, like I said, a small town. My high school, I think, graduated with 150 kids in my class. Um, very little diversity, if at all any, really. Um, so a lot of traits that go with ethnicity would be like traditions, religion, language, things like that. For me, I grew up in a Christian-based family. My grandpa was very religious, and my mom kind of brought that trait down to me. Um, as far as I am now, I would do the same for my kids when that happens. Um, traditions, like we never really had specific traditions for heritage that we had. It was kind of, we had, of course, like our holidays all together, but it was never pinpointed on one heritage that we come from. Um, Also, language. I know many languages are spoken down here, but for me in Ohio, English really was the only one that was necessary. Since there's not much diversity, there wasn't really a need for anything else. So my culture kind of stuck me into just one language. Where down here, it's kind of put me back a little bit, especially there's a language barrier with people down here now that speak multi languages. And I mean, of course, I wish I spoke Spanish or any other language that would be helpful down here. How does art affect culture? Art affects culture in tons of different ways. It impacts it greatly. It forms social groups, it helps people unite. Different races come together that would generally not have as much in common. It gives them that common ground to speak on, to talk about, to listen to, for music wise. So it unifies races, it unifies different social classes, social groups together. Different kinds of music can connect people just because it gives a certain tone to how they're feeling, what they're doing, a certain spot, a certain place that they're in. So there's music festivals or different concerts. It connects people worldwide into one area that gives them the common ground to talk about. So it helps with unifying people. Cultural universals, values or modes or behaviors shared by all humans. Areas of art and music, like I said, it sets that tone for people. It helps them use their emotions for certain ways. So if they're in a happy, fun mood, that can unite people just because of the tone of the music, or if it's during a sad time or anything like that. That's kind of how it unifies people. The next question would be something that's cultural relativism. That's what I chose. It's judging other cultures based on their own norms and standards. What I would kind of say is it's being somewhere and not really knowing their values and norms and doing what you would normally do because it's normal to you and it's okay in your certain culture, but just unknowing that it's not okay to do that in their culture, or it's not a good time to be doing something that you're doing in their culture. My example would be I worked at Levi's in the outlet mall on I Drive. So there's tons of different cultures that come in, different ethnicities that come in all the time. And for example, people would come in and just change clothing right in the middle of the sales floor. Of course, in our culture, that's not acceptable. You're looked at as if like you should know better than to do that. But for them, their culture, they don't know better. They don't know that in this culture that's not allowed. So that would be their cultural relativism coming to here and just not knowing exactly the rules kind of the land. So this is my discussion one. Nice to meet you guys.